The fluorescent lights of St. Mary's Hospital flickered slightly as Nurse Ellen Hargrove walked down the dimly lit corridor. The air was thick with the sterile scent of antiseptic, mingling with an underlying odor of something unidentifiable, a bitterness that made her stomach churn. She paused outside room 312, where Mr. Jasper Sloane had been admitted 3 days prior, with a puzzling array of symptoms. Elevated heart rate, recurrent hallucinations, she muttered to herself, rifling through the clipboard, filled with hasty scribbles and test results that never seemed to add up. She distinctly remembered the first time she'd entered the room and found him murmuring about a calling, his gaze darting toward the shadows that danced along the far wall. Ellen hesitated, the handle of the door cool beneath her fingers. As she stepped inside, the usual sounds of the hospital faded, leaving only Mr. Sloane's low, rhythmic chanting. The room was colder than before, noticeably so, as if he had drawn the very warmth from the air. She could see the monitor beeping steadily, but the numbers didn't correlate with her notes. A low buzz began to hum in her ears, buried beneath the chant, a static resonating as if the very walls of the room were alive with dread. "Ellen, come close," Mr. Sloane beckoned, his sunken eyes wide and hollow, yet somehow gleaming with an energy she couldn't fathom. She stepped forward, the hairs on her neck bristling as her heart quickened. He gestured toward an old photograph, tucked within the wrinkled sheets of his bed, its edges yellowed with age. It depicted a group of people from decades past, but one face was glaringly scratched out, the raw paper a stark reminder of something forbidden. "What do you see?" she whispered, already feeling an unsettling twist in her stomach, her breath hitching as the image grew clearer in her mind. A dark figure looming just beyond the frame, its features obscured, a sinister grin curling at the corners of its mouth. A sudden clang echoed from the hallway, cutting through the thick tension. Ellen glanced toward the door, sensing a shadow skimming silently beneath it, a flicker that felt all too deliberate. She looked back at Mr. Sloane, who had fallen silent, his attention diverted to a point behind her. As she spun around, the static swelled, drowning out her pulse. "Do not," the rest of his warning was lost, as the lights above her blinked out, plunging her into darkness. In that chilling moment, she felt a presence wrap around her, the atmosphere thick with despair. An overwhelming urge to flee surged through her, yet her feet remained glued to the floor, trapped in a web of uncertainty. Just then, the door clicked shut with a finality that echoed in the back of her mind. She turned so slowly, and locked eyes with Mr. Sloane, whose expression morphed from fear to resignation. "They're coming for what they lost," he said, a flatness in his voice she hadn't heard before. The temperature dropped further, a bone-chilling frost racing down her spine as a rush of wind whipped around her. Ellen fought against the encroaching darkness, her fingers trembling on the door handle, but no matter how she pulled, it wouldn't budge. Somewhere in that deepening gloom, she could hear the laughter, the cruel, mocking laughter of that shadow in the photograph. In one breathless moment, the wind ceased, leaving her enveloped in a suffocating silence. With the flick of the lights, she found herself alone, room 312 empty, devoid of any sign that he had ever been there. The bedside monitor lay still, displaying a flat line against the sterile glow of the screen. Ellen stumbled back, her eyes wide as she grasped the doorknob, finally wrenching it open and tumbling out into the corridor. The corridor stretched endlessly, and the scent of antiseptic now felt acrid, as if she were suffocating in a tomb of her own making. As she turned to gather herself, the echo of distant laughter floated back through her mind, and the memory of the photograph surged within, haunted by a face she would never know, but one that seemed to whisper her name through the shadows, a name etched in despair. Ellen learned that night, some occurrences defy the boundaries of diagnosis and reason, rising beyond the realm of mere illness and into the twisted tapestry of something far more insidious. And as she stepped into the flickering light of the exit, the chilling realization settled in. Some doors should never be opened,